Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you Game 2 in a best of 3 matchup between Info, Linko, and QXC here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. Info Linko spotting as the yellow Terran player, this time on the south side of Xel'Naga Caverns. Meanwhile, QXC spawning on the north side as the purple Terran. So Terran versus Terran, the finals of a SoCaL LAN tournament in Fullerton that I was able to cast and went on until I believe 11 o'clock at night. I did live stream the event and my voice was just so gone by the end of it that it was a lot of fun to do. But I don't know if I can subject my body to trying to live cast that many games without a co-caster. Info Linko spawning as the yellow Terran. Gonna go ahead and pull up the production tab. If you have not seen Game 1, Game 1 was such an exciting game. I highly suggest you watch it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers or details, but it was an amazing game. Go ahead and check it out. And this is Game 2, so watch them in order. It will be a lot more interesting for you. So Info, Linkos, and now both sides pretty much doing the same exact build so far. Terran players and mirror builds are very, very common as there's not too many different openings coming in. So you see now Info Linko making sure that there is no proxy barracks, and now building the barracks away from his front door here, making sure that siege tanks are not able to gain sight very, very easily onto this high ground and start blasting away at some of these production buildings. Also QXC moving around, also making sure that there are no proxy barracks in his base. He wants to make sure that he does not get cheesed. And now moving out with building the standard refinery there. The refinery from QXC a little bit earlier than the refinery coming in from Linko. And now, interestingly enough, we have a barracks coming in from Linko. So Linko setting up a proxy barracks of his own. And I do not believe that QXC is going to see this at all. No, he does not see this proxy barracks. And he's not going to be none the wiser because there is already a barracks inside the base of Linko. So by the looks of everything so far, he is going for a standard build. However, there is no refinery in here, so as soon as QXC comes around, he will quickly see that there is no refinery. If however Linko did try to place down a refinery and then cancel it, it would have given him a little bit more of a heads up. And now we see QXC moving around with this one SCV. Will he be able to spot what he's really trying to look for? And now this QXC moving around, a very, very curious positioning with this one SCV. This SCV perhaps still looking for that proxy barracks, and now hiding in this direction. So perhaps a proxy starport for Banshees later in just a moment that will make it very, very easy for these Banshees to fly in just a moment. We do see another supply depot being built here, and now a factory being put down. Also Marines being trained, and we should have another refinery. Yes, it is going to be a second refinery in order to get a double, in order to get a fast starport here and perhaps proxy Banshees into this base. So now in comes, 3 Marines. You can see that QXC has planned this. He's going to build a lot of Marines and a lot of units that do not require a lot of gas. Back over here, you now see more Marines being trained up as well. So it's going to be a Marine rush as well. Are we going to see SCVs pulled off the mineral line coming in from Linko? Linko, no, now opening up into double refinery. So he is not going to be doing the same SCV rush as QXC did in the previous match. Sorry, spoiler alert there. As these Marines now walk up this ramp, 4 Marines on the high ground against 4 Marines now very, very tightly packed. No, a 5th Marine now coming in. So those Marines doing a great job, able to focus down 2 of those Marines very, very easily. And now Linko losing out on that engagement, and there is that proxy starport as I was saying earlier. So he will be able to get Banshees a little bit more quickly. However, adding on that tech lab will take an additional 25 game seconds as opposed to doing a tech lab swap over here. Back in the base, you now see 1 barracks and 1 factory. And interestingly enough, Info Linko still has not seen the inside of this base. He needs to come in here and take a look. And when you're looking at this base, the first thing you should wonder is, why is he going double gas if there is not a tech lab on any of these buildings so far? That is very, very curious. And now over here we see a starport and okay, so it is not going to be a proxy Banshee, but it's going to be proxy battle cruisers. Something that is very, very rare. Proxy battle cruisers, and battle cruisers are going to be very strong in this matchup just because battle cruisers have a base 3 armor. The normal anti-air for Marines, for Terran are Marines early in the game. However, the Marine damage, instead of doing 6 damage, will only be doing 3 damage in attack. So even though the Marines can see the battlecruiser and shoot it down, that battlecruiser will be able to absorb a crazy amount of damage. Even if those Marines even stim, they'll just be dealing a lot of damage to themselves. And the battlecruiser moves so slowly anyways, it's just going to stand there and just fire back and forth. Back over here, we now see this info Linko moving around with this barracks. And as soon as this barracks flies north, he will be able to see that something is definitely curious. I do not believe that Linko has scanned inside this base just quite yet, and he's got to be worried about something. You can already see the battlecruiser taking an amazing 90 game seconds to build. So this battlecruiser, 90 game seconds to build, will be flying in from the north and then just wreaking havoc inside the space. We do see one Viking in play, and that Viking will have to be microed to a crazy extent in order to hold off against that battlecruiser. In comes this barracks. Barracks now flying in, trying to get as much information as possible. Marines now moving over in order to try to shoot it down. The barracks now moving off in this direction. It does have a base of 1 armor, and now he sees these 3 production buildings, no tech lab. And now alarms have to be ringing in Linko's head. Also an engineering bay as well. So an engineering bay, nothing in this base indicates that there is any gas production. And however, as soon as this battle cruiser moves in, a very slow moving unit dealing 8 damage against those ground units, be able to attack very quickly. And now this battle cruiser in this base is going to simply just deal so much damage so quickly, supply people down to 10 hit points there. And now just going to be left there to, I guess, just sit there with no SCV support. And in comes this one battlecruiser. Battlecruiser now coming in. However, there is 1 missile turret, so very nice, that missile turret coming in. And now a Viking, so this very expensive battlecruiser coming in. However, there is Viking support as well, so QXC getting a Viking in addition to that battlecruiser, very nicely done. And with this Viking, we'll be able to shoot down this one Viking over here, so doing a great job. However, this Viking may get shot down. Down it goes. That Viking very low on hit points, has to be very careful. This battlecruiser already getting 6 kills, gonna take down that Viking as well. And all those Marines have pretty much been cleaned up so far. Battlecruiser getting up 9 kills so far, 8 kills. Needs to finish off this Viking. This battlecruiser is going to get shot down. Arguable whether or not it was really worth it to invest so much in that early battlecruiser. And now SCV is also coming in. Marines on the front door, so there was a little bit of a split attack there. I think I'm going to go ahead and rewind that for you guys. So you can see while this battlecruiser was walking around inside this base, Marines and SCVs putting pressure on this front door, making it very difficult. Marines now trying to split between the front door and the back door. Marines able to clean up a lot of these SCVs. An SCV and Marine push at the same time as that battlecruiser. Another Viking in the air trying to shoot down more of these units. Marines and SCVs continue to deal more and more damage. That Viking also getting damaged as well. In come these Marines. Marines finally shooting down that last Viking in the air, and now we have a group of Marines moving and attacking, pushing themselves back army-wise. 400 versus 350, both sides dealing a lot of damage back and forth. SCVs coming in, dealing damage towards this one command center. However, the medevac in the air able to help out as Marines coming out of this barracks very quickly. Back over here, production-wise, you see more SCVs coming in from Root QXC and also building a command center as well, as he needs to take an expansion of his own. Marines now trying to come in as well. Marines going to finish off that one Marine. There we go. Very nice micro as another Viking coming in. Viking now coming into that ground mode, so that Viking with that ground mode does a fair amount of damage. Now pulling back, and now SCV also coming in to repair it. So even though there are no medevacs here, that Viking going to get some healing love and able to just soak up a lot of damage. Once again, that Viking should probably go back into that air mode, perhaps shoot down this orbital command center, as there are now some medevacs in the air. Viking now, once again, in that air mode, trying to shoot down this command center, and now SCV continuing to repair. Marines trying to deal damage as well. The Marines will not going to really be able to do that much. Viking needs to pull out as he realizes that he's not going to be able to continue this fight, and backs off. Production-wise, we have a second battlecruiser almost operational. Marines now being trained, Tech Lab, Siege Tank, Marines, Vikings, just a lot of massive numbers of the units now being moved out, and now 6 SCVs moving out. These SCVs, no Marines acting as an escort, so it's most likely just going to be used to try to repair a Viking, and perhaps repair this battlecruiser as it moves out and attacks into this location here. Only Marines on the low ground, so those Marines are just going to be forced to try to deal damage to this battlecruiser, but that battlecruiser with so many hit points and thick Terran armor will be able to soak up up a lot of damage, especially with 7 SCVs constantly repairing it. So you can see those SCVs, I believe some of them, no, not any of them are on auto repair, and in comes the battlecruiser, a second battlecruiser or a third battlecruiser now being trained. Battlecruiser dealing damage towards this one Viking. Viking using that range of 9 and that faster movement speed against that slow battlecruiser, trying to make sure that he's constantly out of range. Battlecruiser now focusing down more of those units. SCVs on that low ground ready to repair. Is that battlecruiser going to be able to pull out in time and deal enough damage? We see that one Viking down to 35 hit points, and now pulling away. The battlecruiser does have a decent amount of armor, so it's only taking 22 damage from these Vikings, and now the SCVs are on the ground repairing it, so the battlecruiser is currently being repaired. SCVs and a mule trying to repair this Viking as well, so both sides constantly repairing their air forces, and this battlecruiser is nearly back up to full hit points once again. So this battlecruiser just constantly getting a lot of healing so far, and now pulling back once again in order to get more and more repairing from these 7 SCVs. So 7 SCVs repairing this battlecruiser. Battlecruiser already up to 12 kills. So that is a lot of kills on this battlecruiser. A second battlecruiser now coming in as we have some ghosts coming in as well. Expansion now being placed down by QXC as we have these 2 battlecruisers continue to move out. 2 Vikings over here, and those 2 Vikings may be able to finish off this battlecruiser. SCVs now once again trying to repair it. Will those SCVs be able to get underneath it in time and start trying to repair it? There we go. Able to get underneath it just in time. And now those 2 battlecruisers doing a great job so far. However, there has not been a weapon refit for these battlecruisers. The battlecruisers can get Yamato cannon and deal damage from a very, very long range and take down these Vikings before and in one shot without them being repaired. So far, we now also have a siege tank starting to blast away at some of those SCVs. Nicely done. So that is going to be very, very important, as those SCVs are not going to be able to repair out of this location here. Now trying to deal more damage once again. We do see ghosts coming in. The ghosts do not have an armed nuclear silo anywhere that I can see. Ghosts are able to perhaps get some sniper rounds off, though. SCVs once again getting blasted apart, and now more Vikings coming in. So those ghosts now finishing off some of those Marines, those ghosts using a sniper round on a long distance Marine attack. Long distance Marine attack as the SCVs continue to repair. Army wise, 1800 for QXC, meanwhile 1000 for Inflow Linko. Linko having a stronger economy just by a little bit, with 49 harvesters compared to 43, but QXC now currently mining off of more gas at this time. The main bases have nearly been mined out on both sides, and now we are getting we do have 2 Ghost Academies, so nukes are going to be coming online in just a moment. Ghost now trying to move out. We do see a couple of those ghosts on that low ground. However, there is no medevac, so unable to heal up any of these ghosts. So ghosts need to be healed up. We are getting the weapon refit right now, and also the cloaking device. Oh, sorry, the personal cloaking for those ghosts. So those ghosts will be able to cloak up and perhaps start dropping nukes as well. Back here, QXC now taking this 3 o'clock expansion behind this Xel'Naga watchtower. That expansion is not normally the 3rd base that a Terran player takes, so that may work out for him. However, he is taking a 3rd base over off in this direction, and now in comes a ghost. So this ghost is currently cloaked. Will it be able to deal any economic damage, perhaps hitting some of these supply depots and supply locking Linko? Back over here, EMPing the command center, making sure that there is no energy for a scanner sweep, and now trying to repair. SCVs are currently repairing those Vikings, and now brilliantly done. We do see a couple of ghosts now trying to focus down some of those Vikings. However, the Vikings are going to get that final shot in onto that battlecruiser, and that battlecruiser most likely has its days numbered. Stay tuned for part 2 of this replay between Root QXC and Inflow Linko here in the Xel'Naga Caverns.